If you're thinking about buying or selling a house in the Greenville, South Carolina area, there are 5 real estate trends that you need to know about. These are 5 trends that I haven't heard anyone else really talking about, but it's really important based on the buyer behavior that we're seeing and the data that we know so that you can make sure that you're capitalizing on this market. Hi, I'm Evan Whaley, your favorite Greenville realtor. The first trend we need to talk about is that buyers are really gravitating towards move-in ready homes. As we've seen that the millennial generation has been the largest home buying generation over the last few years, what's happened is we found that a lot of the millennials, because they're used to an Amazon generation of instant gratification, there's also a lot of issues with a lot of millennials still have student debt. So when they're looking at purchasing a home, typically they're at their upper limits of what they can purchase. And when that happens, they don't have a lot of extra cash to do a lot of renovations. So that's one of the biggest home buying populations. Second, we're seeing a lot of people that are moving across state lines that are typically in retirement ages. Typically when people are moving for those reasons, yeah, they might move and they might be willing to do some renovations if they get a really great deal. But for the most part, if you're gonna settle down, you're gonna retire, especially move to a new area, and you don't know any contractors, you really don't wanna go through and do a bunch of expensive and timely repairs. So we're really seeing that sellers are selling their homes faster and maximizing their profits if they have a 100% move-in ready property, and we're really seeing that's something that buyers really value. If buyers are interested in getting a steal and getting a great deal, they can go look at those properties that are 80-90% of the way renovated, and they'll really get some incredible deals on those homes. The second trend we need to talk about is the rise of new construction. What we've seen is there's been a massive shortage of inventory around the entire country, especially here locally in Greenville. We've had 2.5 people moving here every single day. So because there weren't enough homes really to fill that void, builders have stepped up to the plate and they've started building more product. What we're seeing in that capacity is that historically in Greenville, we sell about 20 to 25% of our total homes as new construction properties. This year, we're on pace to sell about 32% of our total homes as new construction properties. We did have a massive surplus for a while of new construction homes, but now we're down to 39% of the homes on the market right now being new construction. So really that demand and balance is getting much more in line. New construction builders are also offering some really incredible incentives. What does this really mean? So on the buying side, if you're someone that's looking to save some money, get an interest rate buy down, get some of your closing costs paid for, have home warranties, those kind of things, new construction can be a really awesome option for you. The vast majority of our new construction here in Greenville, while we have stuff in all different price points, sizes, etc., we're seeing a lot in the $300,000 to $450,000 range. So what we're really seeing and how that's impacting sellers is sellers who are in that $300,000 to $450,000 range. That's actually where we've seen the highest level of increases in our inventory count, or more inventory sitting on the market, and where it's taking longer for those people to sell their home. Now, there are ways that you can make sure that your home really stands out, because of course there's some really great things about a resale home that a new construction property typically just does not offer, but you really need to make sure you're consulting with the right real estate agent to help you maximize if you're that seller in that $300,000 to $450,000 range, because you know you're going to be competing with so many new construction properties and the incentives that they're offering. The third trend that we're seeing is investor activity. So this is something we've seen a lot on national news, where people have been kind of put in a lot of ways into a panic of these really big institutional buyers buying a lot of homes. We haven't seen as much of that here locally, thankfully. We've seen more of your mom and pop investors. Now there are some institutional investors that have come in, but we're not one of the states that they've targeted, and Greenville's not one of the areas where they've just bought a massive surplus of property. So we've been seeing more of your local mom and pop activity. Now on a national scale, last month was the first time since 2022 that we saw investor activity go up. It went up 0.5%. We saw that home buying was starting to trend downward for investors, but now it's starting to tick back up a little bit. We're also seeing that there's a lot of investors that have owned their property for a long period of time that are now cashing in on their equity. We're also seeing, because as Airbnb regulations and short-term rentals have become stricter, a lot of people have decided to sell their properties. Or if someone bought during 2020, they wanted to, invest in their first rental property or two, they're realizing there's some headaches and heartaches involved with the rental property. They're also unloading their homes and making some great profits as well. So that's the third trend you need to be aware of, and that could impact you in a multitude of different ways, whether you're a buyer or a seller. For our fourth trend, we're going to go back to new construction and how that's really impacting the resale market. I touched on that briefly, but I want to get into some numbers on this. We've seen a 20.5% increase in homes in the $250,000 to $350,000 range, and a lot of that, in my opinion, is due to the fact of all the new construction properties that those homes are competing with. We've seen a 15% increase in days on market in the $350,000 to $500,000 range, and that has a lot to do with a lot of the new construction homes being in that 300 to 450,000 range. If we look at the overall increase on days on market, these are the two categories where we're seeing the largest increases. Most of our price brackets actually have seen decreases on days on market because there's just not enough inventory, there's not enough new construction competing with it. But in these price brackets, that's where we're seeing the most competition, and we're seeing all these incentives, so that can really impact the resale value of a home and impact how long it takes to sell the property. So people in those price ranges really need to make sure they're hiring a really great real estate agent that does some great marketing to help their house stay. And number 5, our last but not least trend, we've seen there's been a massive increase in the out-of-state buyers moving to South Carolina. It is the number 6 most moved to state over the last few years. And Greenville's been one of the most moved to areas. We're seeing 2.5 people moving to Greenville every single day. And we're not seeing a lot of people leave the area because they find that it's so special and unique and they really love it. So we're seeing great population gain there. So we're seeing a lot of people who are purchasing homes are moving from out of state. That's impacted our market in a lot of different ways. There's been some cash buyers that are coming in from higher earning places. There's been people who are moving because of cost of living situations and for a lot of other reasons. But overall, what we've seen is that's really kept our market at a really healthy pace. That's ensured that we're not having too much inventory just sitting around getting stale, and we're having enough buyers for the homes that are on the market. And that's really helped new construction sell a lot of the properties that they have. So there you have it, the 5 trends that we're seeing here in our local market. Which trend was most surprising to you? Drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you.